Hello, beautiful, and welcome to Finding Fertility. I'm your host, Monica Cox from FindingFertility.co, and I created this podcast to help get you to start thinking outside of the box and realize that your infertility might have nothing to do with your lady bits. Rooted in functional medicine and personal experience, Finding Fertility is all about looking at the whole body and finding the root cause of your infertility. Finding Fertility does not diagnose, prescribe, or treat any issues of infertility, but what we do is take a holistic approach and improve your diet and your lifestyle to get you steps closer to creating your dream family. Just by being here with me, listening to this podcast, you're already going down the right path to making your dreams come true. Let's do this together. Happy Friday. Welcome back to another episode of Finding Fertility. I'm your host, Monica Cox, and I am completely honored you are here becoming the conscious mama you were born to be. Today, we have another pep talk from the community. We're talking about the struggle, being on the struggle bus to make change and choose better. And this is just a part of the journey. And the more you choose to, let's say, head down the less beaten path, the less traveled path that you have chosen, either subconsciously or consciously not to go down before, the easier it does get. So the beginning is going to be a little bit rocky. But I hope that no matter where you are in your journey, if you're putting in, new patterns and making different choices, that this pep talk will really support you where you're at. So without further ado, let's get to today's episode. Hey guys, we are here with another little pep talk today to help you guys really stay on the right track for you. And I know when you are in the group coaching and the programs online, there can be a lot of information thrown at you, right? You get full access and there's a lot going on and you start identifying like, hey, I've got a lot of those symptoms in regards to maybe adrenal fatigue, thyroid, liver issues, gut health issues. And it's kind of like, where do I go from there? And also staying on track with your diet. So this is a really big one for a lot of people. I know that like it could just be all consuming. Okay. So when you are about 2 weeks in to sticking to the commitment, whatever that might be for you, it's really important to remind yourself how far you've actually come, right? So it doesn't matter if you've only chosen one food to do or if you're doing like a full AIP diet, right? Remember, you start where you are at and you've got to celebrate that for yourself. So we have a community member that is almost 2 weeks dairy and gluten-free, struggling a little in the second week, but that is only going to be normal, guys. Like this is a normal thing to go through. And no matter if it's your diet, your, let's say your movements, your mindset practice, your healing practice, whatever it is, you are battling against decades of, program inside of yourself, right? It's not about willpower. Because if it was, most people would accomplish what they want to accomplish. It's all about your belief systems and what patterns you've been running for a really long time. And so when you are doing the physical things alongside trying to change those patterns or even recognizing what those patterns are, right? Like just getting real with yourself, you got to be graceful to yourself. You have to give yourself grace, right? So the fact that you've made 2 weeks is amazing. That is proof that one, I know this might sound really bad, but I'm just going to say it, that you want this enough. You want this for yourself. You have enough self-love and self-worth to do hard things, right? And other people who don't do that
they might just have maybe like deeper rooted, kind of quote unquote issues. And sometimes they just don't want it. They would rather stay stuck in that victim mentality. And that's fine. And it's not a judgment against them. And hopefully one day they'll, discover and get out for themselves. But you've got to really celebrate yourself that you've done something extremely hard in your life, especially with the background of your family. And celebrate the hell out of that, right? You are moving mountains in your own world. And instead of looking like, oh, I was struggling, or I'm not doing this, I'm not eating like exactly how I should be eating, like we have to shift the focus on the positive, on what you are doing, the best that you are doing right now. Remember, we're not looking for perfection. You do not have to be perfect, but you have to move that needle enough where it's going to point you in a different direction and keep going. Okay. So radical honesty, that's really good. You haven't been eating as good, even though you're gluten and dairy free. Some choices haven't been the best. Okay, you're radically aware of that, and you're gonna shift it. Right, next week is gonna be better. Right, and if next week isn't going to be better, you're going to continue to work on that mindset piece and that pattern piece behind you, and go, okay, I know I haven't done great, but I'm still showing up for myself. I'm still gluten and dairy free. I'm still showing my subconscious mind that my physical reality can be different. And it is, as long as you keep stepping forward, it will change. I know it sounds crazy, and I know it doesn't sound, or it feels like it's not going to, but I promise you. So keep listening to, because some of the advice in this like chat was listening to subconscious kind of reprogramming when you go to bed. So there was some links given, and you can find these on YouTube yourself for whatever you're struggling with, about how, those kind of affirmations like, I eat healthy, I make myself healthy meals, reprogramming that subconscious belief and those patterns behind the eating is just as important. If not, I would go out on a limb saying more important to do, because that's what's going to drive your physical actions. So being radically self-aware, so just keep going every night. So I'm sure I've brought this up before. When I wanted to stop drinking after I had my children, right? It was relatively easy for me to stop drinking when I was dealing with fertility issues. It was the hardest thing I had to give up, but I feel like in comparison, it was easier because I had a goal, right? I had a goal of getting and staying pregnant, and I was doing all these fertility treatments and all this money and time. And so after I had my children and, I went back to drinking. Now, did I go back to drinking nearly as much? No, I didn't. But I still didn't want to drink. I knew that wasn't who I wanted to be anymore. I didn't even really want to have one glass of wine, because I was having a glass here or there, and the next morning I would feel like crap. So even one glass of wine wasn't doing it for me anymore. For 6 months, and this is before I knew kind of what I know now, and having Psych K in my back pocket as well. For 6 months, I just went to bed every night telling myself that I wasn't a drinker, that I didn't drink, that I didn't need to have alcohol to have fun. I didn't need to have alcohol to be bored, to entertain myself. I didn't need that fix. I didn't need it when my kids triggered me. Like, I just didn't need it anymore. In 6 months, I just kept continuously telling myself that that wasn't who I was. And some point of March 2022, I woke up and I told my husband, all right, April 1st, April Fool's Day, I'm going to stop drinking. I'm not going to put a time limit on it, but I'm just not going to drink anymore. And he didn't believe that I was going to do it, right? We've been together over 20 yees. He knows what I'm like. He knows what my family's like. I was going to go back and spend Easter with my family. And I was like, no, that's it. This is it. I felt it. I felt it in my bones that this was the end of me using alcohol in a certain way, right? Because when we have these vices with physical, tangible objects, whether that be food, alcohol, shopping, gambling, sex, all those things, and we're numbing out with them and we're not using them to our highest purpose or in a healthy way, there's a reason behind it, right? And there was many reasons behind my drinking. And but I felt it in my bones. And I was able to do it because I got rid of the subconscious belief that I needed alcohol in my life. I needed, that type of stuff. So keep going. And when you're going through this and you're looking at your failures, quote unquote, just look the opposite way, because you're winning in the opposite way, right? You are doing things differently than you were a month ago. And that is significant and huge, right? Okay, so when you want to meal prep, because meal prep is definitely going to help you win when times are like you don't feel like cooking or like you're out and about, right? If you have those meals ready for you, even if that's like 50% of the time, you are just going to naturally make better choices for yourself because it's going to be there and it's going to be easy. Okay, so with the meal plan that comes either in the PDF or the programs, or even my one-to-one coaching, you get it. You want to have 4 weeks for yourself, right? Even if you break that down to a week, like, because they're all different, right? Because it's variety. Variety is the key to a successful diet, right? Limit your food intolerances and get a variety in. If you can sit down on a day that you don't have to work, you don't have these commitments, do your shopping and meal prep for the day. So for me, I would make box salads. So I would get the Tupperware, I'd put just lettuce in 5 different containers, and then I would chop some veg and I would have that in a different container because some reason, like if I put it all together, it would go like gross by Friday. And then on a Sunday, we would always have a roast because we lived in the United Kingdom, and that's just what you did in the United Kingdom, was Sunday was roast day. But we would have leftover meat for those salads for at least the first 3 days. So prepping yourself before your work week starts, even if you do if you prep for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? Getting meals that you can make batches of. So Nomato is the perfect one, or if you're eating tomatoes and you're still doing like a bolognese, right? The Nomato recipe, and you could just sub out the Nomato sauce with a healthy tomato sauce if you want, if you don't want to make the sauce. But you can pack such a wide variety of different vegetables, especially in the sauce, right? The Nomato sauce is beets, celery, carrot, garlic. I'm trying to think what else is in there. You use bone broth to help the vegetables get soft when you're softening all that. I think we put like crepes in there. And then the like bolognese part of it, you can put a wide variety of more vegetables in there and hide liver in it. So I used to make, and I still to this day will make, huge batches. So not only will you have that dinner for tonight, but you will have anywhere from 2 to 3 meals, or 4 or 5 lunches, right? So if you break it down into lunches, and then if you work somewhere where you have a microwave, you can just microwave. And I know people are like, oh, don't use a microwave. Yeah, I get it. But look, remember, like, we're not going for perfection here. When we're starting these new habits, ease and support is crucial. If you try to live seasonally and, you know, don't use a microwave and don't use this and don't use that, you're just going to stress the shit out of yourself. So it's really important just to start where you're at and increase being closer to perfection. And that looks different for everyone, right? So how do you tell when you're eating enough? It's really, that's an intuition thing, right? You definitely, as a woman who is cycling and wanting to get pregnant, you want to be eating more. You don't want to be fasting. There's very few people, and those people who have PCOS and insulin resistant, fasting can be beneficial to them. But for most other people, you do not want to be fasting. So you do want to be getting enough food in your body. Now, this is different for everyone, right? And different to maybe your work schedule and stuff. So if you're not able to sit down and have 3 meals, then can we add a little bit more to one meal? And not even like necessarily volume wise, but maybe more like calorie wise. Can we get a little bit more so your body has that fuel to burn off until the next one, right? So just know that struggle is unfortunately part of the process. But if you can keep your mindset that you're still showing up for yourself, you're still doing better than you were a month ago, then you're winning, right? You're absolutely winning. And when you do, quote unquote, feel like you're failing, just look at what the positives of what you're doing. And I promise you that will keep you going, right? Keep watching your digestion get better. Like you said, you don't have the severe bloating. It's worth it. It will get better. And I saw a post on Instagram the other day of like, you know, when you dramatically reduce the high sugar, the vegetable oils, the rancid chemicals in the food, you dramatically feel better really quickly. Like your body is a healing machine, right? So it reacts to what you put into it and what you do to it. And that's what creates the disease. These things don't just like pop up out of nowhere. So when you eliminate a large amount of your inflammation through your diet, your body's like, oh my God, like this is amazing. Look at what I can do now that I don't have to deal with all of this crap, right? And when you kind of fall back and have those cheat days or those treats or like whatever it is, you'll feel it. And like every time I talk to a client where they're like, oh, I had a cheat day and I felt like crap, I'm like, good, I'm glad you felt that. Because do you want to be there? Is that where you want to be? And they're like, absolutely not. I was like, all right, that's going to drive you more to stick to what you know feels good to you to get you to your ultimate goal. Okay. So that's incredibly important. But you're doing amazing. You know, you guys just showing up for yourself is more than most people are doing, right? You are not stuck in that victim mentality. You are taking control of your life, not only for your fertility and your future family, but this is going to be with you until the day you die. And, you know, most people don't go back to the old ways, or at least to the extreme of how we used to be, right? Okay, I hope that is helpful. Make sure you guys reach out. I'm always here to support you guys. And right, have a beautiful week.
Thank you once again for tuning in to the Finding Fertility podcast. If you're loving this podcast, please leave us a rating and review and let us know how this podcast is supporting you to get steps closer to creating your dream family. I hope you have a beautiful weekend, and we will see you next Friday for another episode of the Finding Fertility podcast.